On session 6, I apologize. I took up all the time for this in the last thing I said. But there are 5 powerful tools that we use to cultivate spiritual growth. Write these down. Number 1, we use commitment cards. We use commitment cards. I'm not even going to explain each of these because we'll explain to them in the master class. Number 2, we use a series of classes. We have a class for each of the 5 purposes. A class about worship, fellowship, discipleship, ministry, evangelism. We call it Class 101, Discovering My Place in the Body of Christ. Class 201, Discovering the Habits for Spiritual Growth. That's maturity. Class 301, Discovering My Shape for Ministry. Class 401, Discovering My Life Mission. Does that make sense? So we have a class for each purpose. They're 4-hour classes. They're taught once a month. That is the secret sauce that turns an audience into an army. If you have a class system that's set up where people can take Class 101 this month, and next month or in a couple months take Class 201, Class 101, becoming a member. Class 201, growing to maturity. Class 301, finding my ministry. Class 401, discovering my life mission. They're systematic classes. They're taught once a month, Sunday afternoon, 4 hours from 3 to 7 p.m. with a meal included. Every campus of Saddleback offers those classes every month. Now, what you can do if you're in a small church, pastor, you can videotape some of it and have volunteers teach part of it, and you could be on videotape for part of it. So you don't have to do it all. Now, personally, at Saddleback, I taught the 4-hour membership class every month for almost 20 years. I did it for as small as one person. Sometimes, I remember one time a lady came with one person. I sat here, she sat there, and I taught her the 4-hour class. Okay? I've taught it to several hundred at a time because what I wanted her to hear is the shepherd's heart. I wanted if at all possible, the senior pastor should teach the membership class. You don't have to teach the maturity class or the ministry class or the mission class. You can get volunteers. And actually what it allows is it allows some people in your church who have the gift of teaching but aren't ready to teach on Sunday morning, but they could teach a class every month. And here's the thing. When you teach the same thing every month, you get good at it. Okay? You get really good at it. And so you're funny and you add in stuff and you get more and more stuff and you add it. And so every one of you could teach the basic discipleship courses, okay? We've got the curriculum, we've got the content, we've got lessons you listen to. You could teach it, and you would get good at it. And you say, oh, what do you do? Well, my ministry at church is I teach the 201 class, the habits for maturity. In that, we teach a daily time with God, a weekly tithe to God, and a committed team for God. That's what it means to be, that is a small group. It's a small group. And so we have commitment cards, we have classes. The thirds, we use covenants. There is a covenant in each class. The covenant is the most important part of class. It's more important than the content. It's like this. When you go to a wedding, what's the most important part of the wedding? The vows. You can get rid of everything else. You can get rid of the music, walk down the aisle, light the candles, the song and all that stuff. If you don't have the vows, you don't have a wedding. The most important part of the 101 class is the membership covenant. The most important part of Class 201 is the maturity covenant, the covenant to grow. The most important part of Class 301 is the ministry covenant, the covenant to serve. And the most important part of Class 401, discovering my life mission, is the covenant to give my life for God's mission for me. And so that's more important than any of the content. And so we have classes, we have commitment cards, we have covenants. The fourth is we have cell groups, okay? Most of you know what small groups are, but one of the differences in a healthy church is that in a healthy church, you have all 5 purposes in the small group. Now, I didn't do this when we first started. We used to have some groups, small groups that were committed to ministry, some small groups that were committed to Bible study, some small groups were committed to worship. Some small groups were committed to inviting your evangelism friends, non-believers to come. and each, but we say the DNA belongs in every cell of the body. So every small group worships, every small group fellowships, every small group discipleships, every small group ministers, every small group goes on mission. And how did I send 26,869 people around the world to do missions? By their small group. And Jesus never sent out anybody by themselves. Lone Ranger mission is not found anywhere. He always sent them at least by twos. He sent them at least. So you go, you serve in community, and you evangelize in community, you witness in community, you minister in community. So commitment cards, cells, classes, cell groups, and the last is campaigns. And I will just say this about campaign. A campaign is a short 6-week period that everybody in the church, children, students, and adults, all learn the same thing. The pastor preaches 6 messages. There's 6 outlines for small groups. There's a daily Bible reading. There's a memory verse. There are projects to do, and the whole church does it. These 5 tools are the secret sauce that turns an audience into an army. You can take them, as Brent and as Kyle said, you can develop your own, but if you don't have your own, we have some you can use. I did 30 different campaigns over 43 years at Saddleback Church, almost one a year. 40 days in the Word, 50 days of peace, 50 days of faith, 40 days of community, 40 days of purpose, and things like that. And it was a powerful tool that built the culture of moving people from audience to army. That's it.